So hopefully this is clear. Um, this is the second time I've recorded this video. The first time I recorded the video, it was broken up into segments so I can edit it off my iPhone, and that didn't work out. When I imported everything, it just scrambled it. So this is going to be a raw, unedited video that we're just going to upload to YouTube to keep it simple. Also, in the first video I did, I was super emotional and I like broke down like in tears. So it was trying to edit that out and then trying to find that moment. It was just too much. So I just figured we can just have a raw uploaded video. No edits, no cuts, jump cuts, none of that. Just kind of like a raw talk, raw emotion. So something happened to me February 28th. It was a life-changing experience for me. Very vulnerable moment, very eye-opening moment. And I think it's one of the reasons why I am the way I am now with like my mental peace, my emotional maturity, more so just my mental peace. Everyone, if you follow me, TikTok, Instagram, you know that I'm really big on mental peace, especially men's mental peace. So February 28th, I was getting a haircut. I was getting a haircut because I was going to my friend from college. His father passed away. So I was getting a haircut and I was gonna travel 9 hours. I was gonna drive 9 hours to the funeral, and I was in prep for that. So I went and got a haircut, and days prior to the haircut, I was having like really bad headaches. Like I was in the shower for 3 or 4 hours, like standing up in like the shower, cold water, and then I have a bench in my shower as well. And I just sat there for 3-4 hours just with cold water. And I felt better, and then got out the shower, snap of a finger, it all came back. So fast forward, I went to work, heading to work. I feel like things always happen to me before I get ready to go to work. Heading to work, I was picking up like donuts and kolaches for the team, you know, all that. And I had like a screaming headache again. So I stopped, bought some BC powder, and I was just taking BC powders like it was like candy. It was crazy. So that kind of pursued for 3 or 4 days. I didn't really think nothing of it. You know, headache. I'm thinking maybe I'm dehydrated, maybe this, blah, 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 that. I'm Googling this and that, and we all know Google does not provide the right answers, or it'll make you think that you're a doctor and that you're dying. And in reality, you're probably not. So I remember getting a haircut, and I was going to my barber. Shout out to Solo. I was going to my barber, and I missed a turn to get into the building. And in my head, I was just like, whatever. So I came back out, went down, turned, parked. And I remember like I was on my phone, and I was walking, and I walked past the elevators to get up to the 4th floor. And so I was like, oh, whatever. Like, I didn't really account it to anything, because in my head, I'm just like, I'm distracted because I'm on my phone. So then I got up to the 4th floor, hit the 4th floor, and I turned the wrong way. I went the opposite way of where his like suite's at. Fast forward, got in there, talking, having good conversation. Every time I get my hair cut by Solo, it's just ultimate conversation. It's just very grown, mental stimulating conversation. I like that. We were having a conversation, and I felt my right hand kind of go numb. And it was like, what's going on? Like, it's weird. So in my head, I'm like, I'm holding my phone kind of funny in the chair. Maybe it's from that. And then my whole like right arm was just like numb. And then I feel like my face was like drooping. Like, you know how when you go to the dentist and you have like that shot and they like numb your mouth and you're drooling low key and all that? That's how I was feeling. And then like I was like slurring my words, and I was like noticing his facial expressions. He was like kind of looking at me funny, but in my head I was thinking I was like talking normal. So then like my right leg was kind of going numb, my right arm, my body. Then like I couldn't feel my tongue, couldn't feel like my lips and stuff. So I was literally all over the place. Got the haircut, and it was taking me a while to process words and like sentences. So got the haircut, and then I called my daughter's mother, and she couldn't make out what I was saying. Like she said, like I was sounding like a 3-year-old. Like I was sounding like a 3-year-old. Like I couldn't basically create any sentences. I couldn't form words. And I just remember going to the gas station and like I just couldn't think of anything. But I was still able to pump gas. And I have a stick shift car, so I'm able to still drive stick shift. And she was like, "You need to go to the hospital." And like I said, I was calling to talk to my daughter, and that didn't happen. So she was like, "You need to go to the hospital." I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." On the highway, I almost have a wreck getting there because like my sense of like my sensory is just off. Like I couldn't judge how far ahead the car in front of me was. So I'm driving. So me being a male, I get home and I take a shower. And in my head, I'm like, I'll take a shower. It'll all go away. I'll lay down and it'll go away. Um, Took a shower. While I'm in the shower, like, like the numbing sensation that you have when your leg falls asleep or your arm. Like I had that directly in my spine, up and down. And it was like going up and down to the point where my legs were like giving out. So I got dressed. I just got a haircut. So I put my do-rag on. And days prior, I was kind of skeptical of putting my do-rag on because I thought that was creating my headache. Like I was tying it too tight. Indeed, it wasn't. So, I get to the doctor, get to the hospital, drive there. It's literally like around the corner, so it wasn't far. I get there. I'm talking to him. I'm not even talking to him because I don't know my name. I don't know nothing. I don't know where I'm at. And then she was like, I remember her saying it's only a 6-hour wait. So I was like, whatever, like this is the ER, I expect that. So I sat down within like 10, 15 minutes, like my headache was just boom, it was just cooking. They called me and they kept asking me questions. They asked me to do this and I couldn't do anything. And then all I remember was like them saying like he's having a stroke. And in my head, I'm like, what? Like, I'm good. Like, I eat decent, season. I mean, food has too much seasoning on it. It's just too good. I eat decent, you know what I'm saying? Like, I go to the gym every day. Like, I do this. Like, I'm way too young to be having a stroke. And by this point, I'm just like super like laggy. Like, I don't know what's going on. They got me in a wheelchair. They don't have any like beds available at the moment. So they pulled me back. My headache's getting worse and worse and worse. Like, my head's about to explode. And they determined that I was actually having a stroke. They gave me some type of medicine for blood clot, like when you're having a stroke. I forgot what it's called. Definitely comment below if you know what I'm talking about. For all my nursing people, my med people out there. But I couldn't remember. And every like 2 minutes, lift your right arm, like press your left arm. What's your name? How old are you? All this other stuff. Like, and I just wasn't answering. I couldn't answer it. Like I literally couldn't answer it. And like my head just got worse and worse and worse. I remember, I think I called my dad somewhere, or I don't know how that all happened, but my dad ended up finding out. I think it was from my daughter's mom, ended up reaching out to my father, letting him know. Then, of course, he let the whole family know, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just sitting there, and I was just like helpless. Like my phone fell, and I was trying to keep up with my stuff, and I was just miserable. Like my headache was just taking me out, and they kept giving me medicine, give me medicine, give me medicine. And then finally, I got admitted into a room. I still don't really know like what's going on. Like I can't comprehend nothing. Like some people were calling me, I didn't know who they were. Like I couldn't recognize voices. Like it was just like all over the place. And my daughter's mom was like, "We're on the way." The nurse came in when it was just me and her, and she was like, like you have to make a decision. Like either you're gonna have this surgery for this aneurysm because you are having a stroke, and if you don't make your mind up, like it could be fatal. And she was like taking my blood pressure, and I was just sitting there like I wasn't like bawling out crying, but I had tears coming down my face. And it was like a very surreal moment where it was like, dog, like if we don't do this soon enough, like you could die. I wasn't thinking about all these shoes. Like I wasn't thinking about cars. I wasn't thinking about clothes. I wasn't thinking about followers. I wasn't thinking about TikTok posts. I wasn't thinking about like YouTube. I wasn't thinking about like paying my bills, even though my rent was due in a couple of days. I wasn't thinking about any of that. And it was just like, you just kind of go into this space where it's just like, dang, like this is it. Like this is God calling you home type stuff. Like this is how you go. Like you didn't get to do this, you didn't get to do that. You start to regret a lot of stuff. You start to regret a lot of things that you applied effort and time to. and it hits different. It hits real different. You're thinking about all the stuff like you're wasting energy on, like people at work, your personal friendships, family, relationships, things that didn't go your way, things you should have went harder on, opportunities that you had that you didn't take, risks that you didn't take. Like you start thinking about all that, and then you just snap out of it. And it's like back to reality. Like this could be it. So for me, it was a lot. And she came back in and she was like, "Have you thought about doing the surgery?" And what made the decision for me so hard? What made the decision so hard for me? That's how I was setting this up. Was my mom passed away with leukemia, brain tumors, and lung cancer. I remember my mom coming to me and asking me, like, she didn't care about no one else's opinion. She came to me and she was like, "Matthias, do you feel like I should get this brain surgery?" I was like, "What's the pros and cons?" And like, I was like, "If it's gonna make you better, mom, like, it was like, if it's gonna make you better, let's do it. Whatever." So had the brain surgery. She was still fighting lung cancer, leukemia, all that. Cool. Of course, mom passed away. So fast forwarding to my situation, me being not smart, not knowing how a stroke works and the aneurysm is like in the brain, whatever. Like I was like, "Damn, they don't have to cut my head open, blah blah blah, this and that, blah blah blah." And so she kind of came in and she was like, like it's a pretty simple like procedure, blah blah blah. And when she told me that, it kind of gave me like a little bit of relief. But anything when it came towards the brain and the surgery, I was just skeptical of it simply because what happened with my mom. And for the rest of my life, I will 100% always, 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 always blame myself for my mom passing because I knew she had brain tumors. Um, the surgery didn't really do, I guess, what it was supposed to do. I guess the surgery actually made it worse. So thinking about how like I couldn't like create words, I couldn't create sentences, I didn't know who I was, this and that. This is the same thing my mom went through, and it got to the point where the tumors were so bad. Like my mom didn't even know who I was. Like I would be holding her hand and I'd be holding her hand and looking at her. She didn't know who I was. No idea. That's hard. Um, yeah, I was there while my mom was like passing, like through and through. Like I was there whenever I could. And it just sucks because there's so many times where I could have spent more time, or I could have made a little effort. And now, fast forwarding after my stroke and my situation, like I think about how hard my mom had it and how tired she was, like mentally and physically, like emotionally. But she still gave 150%. It's crazy. And here I am, in a lot better shape than my mom was, like like mentally, physically, emotionally. And here I'm in bed, like, I'm feeling getting up. So that's why I kind of go so hard on myself, and I try to make sure that I'm very intentional with my time. But going back to the stroke, so we went ahead and had the surgery. Um, Daughter eventually came, and like I kind of recognized her, but I didn't. And my daughter was trying to like lay on me. I was in the bed like a potato. It was like all bad. Um, so they ended up taking me back for the procedure. They stuck like this metal rod, flexible rod thing. So they had to go through my groin. So they cut my groin, went up, basically from my groin inside all the way up. I think like I don't know how they did it, but they went through my groin, went into my brain, compressed or whatever they had to do with the aneurysm part. It came back out, but for 48 hours, like I had to lay still, like on my back. Like I couldn't sit up at all because if you sit up, it does something and creates like a blood clot, and then it could end up losing a limb. It was something like really crazy and scary where I was like, I don't want to go through that. So I think for like 2 days or 24 plus hours, I had to like lay flat. Like I couldn't sit up. Like it was either if I was getting up, like I had to like get all the way up quickly, and I was in a lot of pain. So it was just a lot. My dad couldn't come because my dad has a little bit older age. He does not fly. He's like a driving type person, and he couldn't ride in the car that long. So my dad couldn't come. So my sister ended up coming. Shout out to Ashley. And kind of like took my daughter's mom and my daughter out to eat, blah blah blah. And I was just there, and I was on so many meds. I was just out of it, like low key. Like I was just out of it. And then I kind of started feeling better, and I was all kind of ready to go to the hospital. Like, I started like creating better sentences, like my strength was kind of coming back, and then I walked out the hospital. So, just I don't know, man. Like, after spending like a week in the hospital, and I walked in like stumbling, like by myself, and I walked out by myself. And it's like walking out after experiencing that, and people walking past you and like they don't know what you just experienced and you don't know what they experienced. So it's just kind of crazy how like me walking out and it's like birds chirping in the sunlight, but I almost died in the hospital. um I don't know, it's just different. It's just like it gives you like a different perspective, and that's why I really don't care about people's like opinions, or why you shouldn't care about people's opinions or how you're perceived or whatever. People always want to have something to say, whether you're doing good or bad. That's just, and if some people are just miserable, like they want everyone else to feel miserable, but it doesn't bother me. It's also why I'm so selective, or I'm so to myself, I'm so isolated because of what I went through. And a lot of people don't know that I actually had a stroke. Like a lot of people don't know. Um, select few people know. Um, so post stroke, like it was hard going back to work. Like I had to remember a lot of stuff. I had to remember low key how like to walk, because at one point like I was having like a hard time walking. Um, Speech was like terrible. I couldn't think of nothing. I couldn't formulate anything. We had a new manager that came in, and I was trying to teach her the process of like everything, and I was just like stumbling. I couldn't remember stuff, and still to this day, I have a hard time remembering some words, and that's just like part of having a stroke. Like it's just like memory loss. So I just have a hard time formulating sentences. And if you notice in this video, I'm saying a lot because I'm trying to fill in the gap. Um, it takes me a second to like kind of like reprocess everything, and I'm okay with that. I think the more exchange I have with like communication, it got better. Well, it did get better, but it was a lot. So it's just a lot of stuff that I just didn't care about after I had a stroke. I'm like, bro, I almost died. Like I almost died. Like, and they don't really know why I had the stroke, but it had to be from my cholesterol. But my cholesterol is like hereditary, it's just high. And then like stress, like because I was working 13, 14 hours a day. I was in like going hard for like 3 or 4 months, like 5 months. Like we had like, it's just called like peak. And I didn't get a break. I was stressing myself out. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was still going to the gym, still trying to create content. Like it was just a lot. Even after my stroke, I went back home to spend time with my daughter and stuff. And like my daughter was trying to play and do this, and I couldn't stand up because I couldn't walk much because my groin, I just had a surgery, so I couldn't really walk much. So I wasn't really doing the best service to my daughter either. And mentally, I just wasn't, like I was like checked out. So I ended up driving home with them, and I ended up flying back to Dallas. So just to kind of like recalibrate and just kind of be in my space and really process that I had a stroke, almost died. What's next? So that's why like it's really hard to process all that and to still like live positive, because that came from left field. I don't know moving forward. Like I could walk outside now and be in the gym and have another one. And usually the second time you have a stroke is could be fatal. And that's very scary to me to know that I could die at any moment, or I could have a stroke at any moment. It could be fatal. but that's life in general, right? So I still try to be positive. I still don't even try to think about it. If I do get a headache, it does like concern me. I do go to neurologists. I go to some other brain specialists, this and that. So I do have appointments for that. I do take a lot of pills, have taken a lot of pills. So it's a lot to process. It's a lot. But I still get up, positive attitude. This is why I have such a positive attitude. Don't really care what people got to say. I really don't care. If you got negative energy, you can go over there. And I just like to spend time to myself and just make this content for y'all. It gives me kind of like an outlet to be able to talk. It's like a sense of therapy in a sense. So I say all that to say, like, like you just never know, like, what life event can happen that can change your life or whatever. Just be prepared and just be intentional. Like with every day, like don't say, dang, I gotta go to work. Say, I get the chance to go to work. Say, I get the chance to go to the grocery store, or I get the chance to go to the mall or whatever. Like, just be grateful for the life that you have, because there's people dying every day. There's people waking up and not, you know what I'm saying, like not knowing that the next day they're not gonna be here. So I'm trying to do better. Like I said, this food just tastes too good. It's just too seasoned. Especially black people that make food. It's just black people are very creative when it comes to making food, and it just tastes too good. So I try to balance it out, but I'm definitely still like locking in. Not going to the gym as much. I'm trying to go get blood work, trying to do this, trying to do that. So I'm trying to be as preventive as possible to not create another stroke, or have like any stroke type like symptoms or anything like that. So yeah, so February 28th, I had a stroke. And that day and that week changed my life and my perspective like forever. So, if anyone has like any additional questions, please reach out. I don't mind answering them. It's okay. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add to it. I had a stroke, and like I said, like it's just gonna resonate in my head forever, because I just feel like I said, like the reason my mom passed was because of me, and I'm just gonna hold on that to forever. And it kind of sucks, but it's just the reality of it. And this is how I feel. Like I know there's gonna be people who say, "Oh, it's not your fault," this and that. It's been a while, so I just feel like it's just it's just on me at this point. So like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching this. Yeah.